the most major Jewish institution in an area where there aren't Jewish things.
For no good reason.
Right? Or where it's not,
Amen to that.
doesn't have the features that a Jewish community needs. Okay, so kol ir she'ein ba shnayim ledaber ve'echad lishmoa. Literally, that means two people to speak and one person to listen or understand. The rabbis assume if you have listened to something that you do understand it.
So isn't that the difference between like Yishma and like
Yes, yes, and if you lishmoa, then you get it. You heard it in a way, right? Like when we say, I hear you, might be, I don't know, not acceptable.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So, literally, two people to speak and one person to understand. What in the world are they talking about? I'm going to save you some time. I looked at Rashi. Rashi says the 70 languages of the world. Do you think he means it literally?
No.
Probably not. So what does it symbolize if you know somebody else's language? What else do you know about them?
You know a lot about their culture and other behaviors.
Perfect. Perfect. So this is a statement that you need at least 3 people in the community, 2 who are most expert, and at least 1 who's more expert than many. People who know about other cultures.
Oh, he's saying
Right? So if literally they speak another culture's language, then they understand that other culture. You can't make a Jewish court, you can't basically have a good Jewish community without the ability to understand the surrounding cultures. Yes, sir.
So if I was thinking of like before you told us the Rashi, I was thinking about the two people who speak and one person who can listen. Can one of the people who speak be also the one who listens? Because I feel like if I can understand a culture and converse
right. So
about
I
it.
do think there's an assumption if you can speak, you can also understand.
So it just has to be a person who. So you can have 3 people who can
3
speak.
people.
And that
I
counts.
consider this like.
The bare minimum.
I'll give an example. I can speak English and Hebrew. I can understand when I read, not really listening, but reading-wise, I can understand Spanish and sometimes French, German, and sometimes some parts even of Portuguese.
Oh, wow.
We were looking at some Brazilian songs yesterday, and I actually
Brazilian funk.
kind of remembered a few things. We had to look up.
Brazilian funk. Toma.
So, right, you would consider me to be expert in English and Hebrew, but I have some understanding of Hispanic culture, etc. Right? Let's add to that, and let's make these notes all caps to make it easy to find. Where do you place this on the spectrum? Does having people in your Jewish community, these are people in your Jewish community, I'm going to, before I finish that, Beitar Havu Shlosha, in the settlement of Beitar, they had 3 people who fit these categories. Ube Yavne, in Yavne, where Yochanan ben Zakkai set up his academy, Arba'ah. They had 4 people, and here are the 4 people. Let's notice, we know 3 of the 4. Ready? Rabbi Eliezer. What do you know about Rabbi Eliezer?
He's
a bull?
That's Akiva.
Oh.
What do you know about Rabbi Eliezer?
Was this bull?
I think of him as Mr. Dagger Eyes. Everything he looks at burns.
He's an eye for detail.
Oh, that's that guy.
What do you remember? What story is
Laser
that
beam?
from?
Is that the
Tanor Shalachnai.
Oh my god!
Very nice, you guys.
See what's
Very
wrong.
nice.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua are both in the Tanur Shalach story. Rabbi Eliezer is the one who insisted that the halakha was according to him, and the other rabbis would have none of it, and they excommunicated him. Rabbi Yoshua was the one who yelled at the Beit Midrash walls, and who said the amazing quote of the Tanakh, Lo b'shamayim hi. I used to babysit for the person who wrote and sang that song.
Ain't no way.
There is a way.
What did you say?
Bim bong.
Yeah.
When she was 4 years old,
Bing
I
bong.
used to babysit for her.
Wow.
Another fact about Eliezer and Yoshua, they are second generation Tanaim. They were Yochanan ben Zakkai's students. If I'm remembering the story correctly, Rabbi Eliezer held the head of the coffin when Yochanan ben Zakkai snuck out. That's a story that's familiar.
Oh yeah, during
Yochanan ben Zakkai snuck out
yeah, did he fake
during
his
the
death or
siege.
something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Siege?
This is coming back to you.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Excellent.
like a mighty stream.
Rabbi Eliezer carried the head of that coffin, and Yoshua carried the foot of that coffin to help Yochanan ben Zakkai get out and, in a sense,
For them.
save Judaism. These two guys who helped save Judaism at a time of incredible peril and the impending destruction of Jerusalem, they are two of the 4 people in Yavne who are the experts in other people's cultures. They are certainly experts in the particularly Jewish culture. They are also experts about Roman culture and whatever other cultures were part of the Roman Empire. And then we have this guy whose name is abbreviated because he's so famous. Rabbi
Akiva!
Akiva.
East Tanua.
Oh,
Ish Sanua, indeed. Rabbi Akiva, also obviously an expert in Jewish culture, but he is listed as one of the 4 experts in other cultures also.
What, like, quality?
And then there's Shimon the Yemenite, who has to be on the ground in the Sanhedrin setup because he's kind of like a student. He's not like a full person. He's like a medical resident.
Oh, like an
He's like a
apprentice?
Sanhedrin resident or an apprentice. Not quite a full
Hats off to you.
rabbi yet. But he also is an expert in other cultures. Jamie, you may. So are we counting this?
No,
Does this meet particularly Jewish needs?
Substrate.
Does this meet particularly Universalist needs? Or is it a blend?
If I may, I would say
If I may.
because it's abiding by and talking really about Jewish law in specific and
How's everyone doing?
Jews with their needs, but it's also about the needs of a society in general that need knowledgeable people and like orderly people, you know, like for courts, lawyers, people that understand different aspects of society. Yeah. Every
Okay.
society needs something like that.
Yes, I'm going to agree with everything you just said. I want to hear from some other people some suggestions of how to phrase the Universalist part of this.
It allows like kind of a basic justice system, like it's more fair. So that's not really like a Jewish value itself. Well, it is a Jewish value too, but it's like a fairness for all kind of human people. Yikes. Not my day stream. Not my day.
So it allows communication and sharing universal values with our neighbors. Is that? Now, I neglected to write what this is. You probably have a definition, right?
For
people who are experts in other cultures literally speak and understand other languages.
Wasn't the other way around?
Yes,
Streams.
I
Let's see
put
how
the
long it
literal.
takes.
Oh, but
She
sorry.
called it on the stream.
That's
Let's see.
okay. Right, we went from
She
the
just
literal
looked at me,
to
but she didn't
the
call.
Yeah, because remember I thought-
conceptual, and then I wrote it the other direction. However you have it, if it works for you, it's fine.
What were the qualifications that like you need to meet to be someone who's like an expert in other cultures?
Oh, so this text doesn't say.
Okay.
I think there are other texts that also say things about this. I'm not expert in those other texts, but I think they exist.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, our Bryce is gonna go on to other institutions.
Chat. She's got no clue.
Okay. I don't want, if we were learning this, like as just part of learning a sugya, we would have to take the focus of the Braita. V'chama yehe ba'ir v'yehe re'uya l'sanhedrin. How many people would you need in a city for it to be appropriate to put a Sanhedrin there? We have to know that that's what the text asks, but my interest in the Braita is the actual individuals and institutions that it lists as part of its accounting for how many are needed. Now, it's not going to add up to the right number. How many are in a Sanhedrin?
72.
Great. So it's not going to add up
That's
to
why I said
that,
120.
because I think it's 72 plus you need the small Sanhedrin,
Yeah.
plus you need for a Beit Din in addition to that. So I think it's more than 100 at the end.
The end.
The examples we're going to cover are not going to add up correctly. I think that the Talmud goes off on its tangents, as Talmud does, and by the time it gets back to that accounting, it's been on so many other subjects, it's not, and because it's not our focus, we're not going to go back to that. So don't be concerned that the numbers don't add up. The numbers are not our focus. I believe that they add up many pages away from this, many ducking away. Right, so they say you need 120. Maya v'taihu, how do you get to 120? Esrim v'shlosha keneged sanhedrin ketana. V'shalosh shurot shel esrim v'shlosha hare tishin v'tarte. So 23 correspond to the small Sanhedrin. And then 3 rows of 23 makes, added to it, makes 92. And then it's going to add Asara Batlanin Shel Beit HaKnesset. And that makes Mea Vitre 103. 102? 103. 103.
Yeah, because the Treyas are.
Right. So yeah, let's talk about these 10 people. They're called the Batlanim Shel Beit Knesset.
The unemployed persons.
So Batlanim are, I'm not going to call them unemployed because unemployed sounds like they should be working, but for some reason are not working. But the Batlanim might be that, but they might also be people who are just don't work in a paid official position. Okay? So people who do not work outside the home. People who do not work in a job.
One job.
In a job.
Formal or just
That's what a batlan is. I want to tell you a little bit about the batlanim, right? If you don't work in a job, what do you have the time to do?
goof
You're
off?
called a batlan beit knesset.
Right.
Like study.
You have time to be at shul, right? You can help make the minyan, right? I don't help make the minyan during the week in my shul because I have to be here and I have to leave home between 7 and 7:15. So I can't possibly make a 7:30 minyan at home. There are other people who ensure that there's a minyan in my shul on those days. They have the time and flexibility to help ensure a minyan at the synagogue.
Is that like more of an implied thing, or is that like?
They're called Batlanim Shel Beit Knesset.
Oh, okay.
Right? So they're not like, batel literally means cancel or void,
Yeah.
right? Like null and void. These people are not actually nullifying or voiding anything about the synagogue. They're null and void because they don't work.
Yeah,
They're not producing economically. But they can therefore serve the community by helping to make sure there's a minyan.
Is that like similar to the like the people who study at yeshivas today in Israel and don't like go to the army and don't and like get paid to study? Like, is that because how would they afford food? How would they afford anything if they're not working?
Right. I suppose they might also be considered batlanim.
So are these batlanim getting paid by the government or like getting paid somehow so that they can still have food?
Right. So the batlanim in my current community probably have retirement accounts and they get Social Security.
Oh, okay.
Right? So like mostly they don't have a job because they're retired.
I was thinking of like more younger people who like in Israel today.
Right. I think that they probably view themselves this way, and I think some of the political discussion that happens is whether the government should support them being batlanim, right? I think in a general Jewish community in the diaspora, a batlan is not
Gonna be like
taking anything extra from anybody else, the way that I think the critics of the of that group in Israel.
So would the demographic of these batlanim be more young people or?
The batlanim shel Beit Knesset?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
It'd be more of like the
I
retired.
think it would be retirees, maybe people with a physical disability who are still at least able to get out to get to synagogue, but can't hold a steady job.
Got it.
Or simply people who have the means to not work outside the home even though they're still of working age.
Got it.
Right? Because that happens too. Corey knows that.
So I don't know if this is like digging too deep into it, but I know nowadays like not every job requires like waking up early and missing minyan time. So like what if someone has a job that can make a minyan?
Yeah, that's like amazing, right?
Yeah.
So I do think if there's somebody like that, and then certainly sometimes it's business owners, or if somebody's just their working hours are different than the typical or the most common, and they can make that commitment, then by all means, would they still be considered batlanim?
Yeah,
I mean, they would still be like helping to make sure they're doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess they'd be like quasi batlanim,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
They're not batlanim in the sense that they're not
But they can
otherwise contributing economically, but they certainly get they help the community in the same way, and they get the benefit. So here's one of my favorite stories about the benefit of being a batlan. I'm gonna ask for clamshells so that you're taking this.
Sorry, screen.
So I want to tell you about Mel and Bella.
Nella. Bell.
So
Nella.
Mel passed away a few years ago, and when I went to comfort Bella at the Shiva, she told me this story. They met when they were in their 60s, right? They had both been married before and had, I don't remember if they'd been divorced or if their first spouses had passed away. But they met in their 60s, and Bella was very excited about their first date, right? And you're picturing, like, I mean, I don't know how old everybody's grandparents are.
A cute old lady.
But, like, you know, people in their 60s going on dates. So
It's cute.
they were supposed to go out for dinner. And the time that he's supposed to come and get her, or maybe they were meeting at the restaurant, and Mel didn't show up.
Flaked.
Okay, so you can imagine that her first thought was a little bit like, who is this guy? He invited me. He was part of choosing the location and the time. Like, is he really standing me up? Like, are we not mature adults? Well, so she was telling a friend, I was supposed to meet this man for a date. I was really excited and he didn't show. And the friend knew Mel and said, that doesn't sound right. That's not the kind of person he is. There must be some other explanation. And so that friend asked around to other people who knew Mel. And it turned out he hadn't shown up for me in that morning. And it turned out that he had had a medical emergency and gone to the hospital and was hospitalized.
Oh.
Okay, now we understand why he didn't show up, right?
Is he okay?
I mean,
Is he okay?
cut the guy a break, right? And of course, obviously Bella did because she was before him. They obviously got married and had many lovely years together. He was about none. He came to shul every morning for Shachri. So the other people who came every morning for Shachri noticed, Mel's not here, something's up, and reached out. So it goes both ways. The Batlan helps to make sure that there's a minyan, so that when the working person says, oh, I have yard site, I'm going to prioritize davening in a minyan instead of davening in my kiyachid, because I have to say Kaddish to mark my yard site. That's a service that the Batlanim provide, that I can just waltz in and have my minyan already there. But they also benefit because people notice when they're missing, and so they have like a social safety net, so to speak, of supporters who will reach out when they notice something is not quite right. Of course, also, all humans talk before and after davening, and many humans talk during davening. Sorry, I'm so strict here at school.
Listen, trying to simulate.
You know,
Go home.
you've seen me
Go
on
home.
Shabbat morning when you're not like a group of 20 teenagers at once, and we can have a quiet conversation at certain points. So now let's make these notes so that we can go and
Open, let's go.
about it. So they have the
Actually,
time of
it's
flexibility Habenshire,
It's upstream.
the synagogue, their regular attendance means that others will notice if they are missing or unwell in some
What are we
way,
doing?
or just unwell. And others will be their social safety net.
It's beautiful.
Yes. And if you see Zach, tell him to hurry up. You can cite your sources. Okay. I hope that as you are thinking for yourself and recording for yourself. We're not gonna have a whole discussion about this one beyond what we've already discussed. But I hope that you are writing that it is both particularist and universalist.
On cue.
And I'm gonna put those definitions back up. Can you guys see this?
You tell us.
There we go. Oh, let me,
A little too hot? Perfect.
there we go. A universalist is meeting universal human needs, and particularist means that it's meeting people, specifically Jewish needs. The Batlanim of the Beit Knesset, now we know why there need to be 10 of them, because they're helping make a minyan. Write for yourself, which is the particular Jewish need that's being met, what is the universal human need that gets met by that regular attendance. Batlanim, Asara Batlanim.
Is this a difference?
No, you should not switch, you don't have any other documents.
Do we have?
But
We don't
it's
have
the
it.
next, I know you don't have that. That's not what I'm asking you to do, I just put it
Whoa,
up for
whoa, whoa, whoa.
demonstrations. Folks, you stay on your source sheet. Mark, in your comment about the Batlanim,
That's gonna leave.
in your comment about the Batlanim,
Mark.
where's the Batlanim? It's the next paragraph.
Oh, I accidentally.
Well, that's gonna be confusing when you go to do your analysis, so you might want to. Do you have the whole comment, Jamie?
I think I'll think about it real part of it, but other than that, I think
Also,
Jesus.
And what I want you to fill in is what particular Jewish need is met and what universal
That's what you-
human need is met by these Asara Batlanim Shel Beit Knesset. And you're writing for yourselves.
That's crazy.
Okay? Moving on. Sophrim are scribes, or in our context, probably more court secretaries. A court secretary records the proceedings of the court.
Is that a bailiff? Or am I?
No.
no, that's one to sit next.
So that's-
The court secretary records what was said and decided in
God bless.
Yes.
the courthouse.
And there's two of them, right?
And yes.
Okay, cool.
The chazanim are not the cantors, they are the bailiffs. What does a bailiff do?
He swears you into the court, like when you testify. Yeah. You swear to the truth. That is what it is. So that's what I courtroom.
And keeps order in the courtroom, basically making sure everyone is treated fairly and acts appropriately. Oh, didn't mean to put myself in the center there.
Okay.
You are going to be asked to think about what universal and/or particularly Jewish needs are met by all these different people. Shnei ba'alei dinim, lawyers. It's not bold, but still lawyers. And what do lawyers do? They advocate for their clients in disputes and help their clients follow the law. Shnei edim, we need at least 2 witnesses. I don't think you need me to define witnesses. But zomamin and zomamin deserve some time. So zomamin are, how did I put it here? Witnesses to contradict the original witnesses. So if, if Lena has, Lena has come to class late. What a horrible crime you've committed.
Wow.
Greg Bowler.
Ariel comes in and says, Lena is late because she's talking to Mrs. Weston about the play.
Snitch.
That is something she would do.
And Corey says, yeah, I saw her doing that too. Ariel and Corey are the AD. But now Mikey comes and says,
That's not true. I didn't see that.
I saw Lena.
She was
talking
on the phone with
to
Greg.
Thorgerson."
Oh, my bad.
Oh no.
Mr. Thorgerson was yelling at her. That's what I saw.
Oh.
Dang.
And Jamie says, yeah, I walked past the counseling office and I saw Lena with Mr. Thorgerson too.
Wow.
They are, Mikey and Jamie become the Zomame. Oh, but now Rebecca comes in and
my
says, I
Go
was
home,
talking
Rebecca.
to Mrs. Weston about the play too, and Lena came and joined us.
Yeah.
And Aviva says, and I was working with Mrs. Cassell, and I heard them talking to Miss Weston about the play.
Yeah, my
Now Rebecca and Aviva
Shut up,
become
bro.
the Zomame, right?
And it just keeps going.
And it could keep going. Why is it so important to have the depth of the testimony? Because they want to get it right. If we're going to accuse Lena of a crime, we want to make sure she's actually really done that crime. And otherwise, hands off. Lena didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So could the Zoma mean that they're like contradicting the contradiction?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a new contradict? Like, is it a new thing being brought in, or is it the original? What the original people
I think
said?
it could be either way.
Okay.
The easiest to understand is that the third round of witnesses are corroborating the first
With the first,
testimony.
okay.
But my guess is that they
It could
would
happen
still
that
be-
like someone
it
would
could
come up
happen
and say Lena
that
was
they
talking
saw
to someone
Lena doing
else.
something totally different. Absolutely.
Can I do an offer?
You may. The need for witnesses goes deep so that the court will be accurate in its findings. Right, they're taking themselves very seriously. They don't want to consider anybody to be a criminal or to have done a criminal act unless they have real proof that it happened, or real testimony that happened. Okay, we will continue that analysis next class.
Cliffhanger.
I have two things to return to you.
You're mine.
First is Riz Ham, so I'm gonna pass it around.
Oh. I don't like that. Put your tongue back in your mouth and respect. Yo, chat, are we ready? Are we ready, chat?
Question should be how good, but
Chat, are we hyped?
we're back to back 100 songs.
Chat. Okay, chat, we're going full screen. Okay, chat. I'm straight.
Oh.
Oh, you thought GPT.
No,
You
I thought
dirty
your cat.
mind.
You showed me one.
She had like 7 minutes.
How would you assume she was right?
Stream.
I would always assume you're right. I would always assume that you're right.
I thought you were coming around me. Oh, you are?
Lena.
Not double E's in the chat. Not What happened?
I knew I should.
There's no
Next thing
corrections.
I'm returning is on Google Classroom.
Is an X and a check like half a point?
Yeah, it means I took off at a point.
I actually can't believe.
What are you returning?
I am now returning the mitzvot d'oraita of Shabbat.
Do you think I should learn how to control?
Sure.
Wait, do we actually have
God bless, man. Damn.
Project. I decided not to bring these.
Are we serious right now? I'm talking.
What is shopping?
Talk is a fun time, baby.
Yes.
More Becky.
So the project, the mitzvot d'oraita of Shabbat project, it should be posted, the grade, to your email address.
Something's not right.
Classroom. Avita, go back to my class, please.
Oh no, it like I get the
It popped up. Got it? Oh, I see how your email works.
Which one is it? The mitzvah to right to the
Go back to
Shabbat?
Google Classroom for the
Is that what you
project.
said?
Great. Okay, look over feedback, of course, if something isn't clear that I wrote to you. I am human and I'm willing to clarify my thinking and or my actual writing. For the most part, good work. And yeah. And thank you for your concentration and involvement in today's lesson. And let's keep it up with being focused and finding that way to transition into the class period. Have a good day, everybody.
You too, man. Why is it so much?
What? Yeah, probably.
Sure.
What time is practice?
I think it's at 4:30. You want 3:45?
That is not explicitly.
Bro, what shop is this?
Right, not actually.
Actually,
So the Shabbos day is appropriate.
can I get it back in a week?
Probably would.
What guy?
Unless it was a prop. Same thing, yeah. Oh, it was a glitch.
Thanks for being our
No, it was probably just a glitch. It was probably just one of those classic. Just 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Wait, John.
On this? Bucky Bartel?
Oh, see you guys. See you later.
Bye. You'll be getting my Reese's paper.
Good. Oh, watch behind you. Bye, Shi.
It was all my fault, guys.
Like, are we fucking serious right now? Oh, are we serious right now? Like, taking off 10% of my grade because I didn't write Shabbat.
You know what?
Are we seriously doing this right now? She gave me a 90, and the only problem was Hebrew.
Good.
Take it? Take it?
Take it. The rest of the whole thing is perfect.
Take it like a good
Just
boy.
for the Mishnah thing.
Mikey, but did you actually?
No.
No, I didn't.
Still, dude.
Oh, I got a 98.
She was like, fuck up this. She was like, I saw in your paper you wrote about something
How
about
the fuck
folding
is that
napkins on
possible?
Shabbat.
It is impossible.
And I was wondering what that's something
How
that's
is that
fun about.
possible?
I saw a couple people giving a very specific
It was like
example
an
in text. I was
84.
like, no, I mean, we just like, somebody brought it up in a group like a while ago.
Bro, you found that shit up.
Like, are we folding napkins?
Because I was like, the next time you're wondering whether folding your napkin for Shabbat dinner is not a ha, think about this. Maybe the question is the
I
answer.
got an 86.
Is it?
What?
I didn't write that, so I don't know.
Is it? Wait, are you allowed to?
I don't know.
Are you gonna say?
Yeah. I have met extra help.
Right, Hebrew words.
And last time,
You
last time, extra help. Mr. C told me I'm not going to get to college because I didn't show up. I'm going to go.
Like, okay, chat, let's be serious right now, chat. One sec, Jonah, let's talk to chat for a second.
Let's not.
Let's talk, Zach, come here.
I can't wait till
Can I
the
see
Gorgon
you?
fucking
Can I
wants
see
to meet with me tomorrow.
Who's Morgan?
The Gorgon.
Oh, did you not answer, Rusty?
Cause I look like I did. Big faggot.
Dang.
Like I said, could you fuck yourself?
The head of Shabbat places.
Wow, can we figure
I
out
get
that?
ghosted. I actually get ghosted by my physics tutor. Like,
Whose fault was it? I think
your fault. No, the fuck it wasn't.
there was no warnings, nothing.
But we're
Just out of
not-
nowhere. Okay. You know what you said? It was a fun. I was enjoying it. It was not that
What were we
bad.
even doing?
I don't even remember, but I remember it wasn't like that. It was funny, and it's just like it was just like. She was not happy.
He's gonna hide it in all places to make it all be places.
That's not even like. No, that's.
Bro, I was tripping, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
A good stream.
No, I was
Good stream.